you're minimizing it, you're reducing it, you're not capturing all of it. And I think that's our danger a bit with AI, is that there's a reductionism to it, there's a laziness to it, there's you're sort of taking away creativity, you're taking away critical thought a little bit.
Am I being natural enough that it's because it was recorded? Do I act slightly differently? Do I take away a little bit of my personality? Do you? I think you naturally do. We're going to work with the latest and greatest versions of some of the best software in the world, and that's going to help us accelerate it.
Is where does all of that information go? So you talk about sort of acting slightly differently. We should all be a little bit more careful. I have now tipped over. I definitely go to AI first to research something than I normally would have been a Google search.
Yeah.
So I've definitely tipped over in that. Be thoughtful about your consumption of it. See it as you've got to recognise that all things you do create carbon and create waste. But I think as a small business, you've got to be embracing it.
We're two tech CEOs talking about navigating the speed of change in the technology industry. This comes from the impact of tariffs, changing supply chains, opportunities with sustainability, getting the best value, but also, most importantly, winning new business. We're going to have an open, honest discussion, really sharing a bit different perspectives from our experiences in our businesses. I'm here with Anthony Levy, who started his business 17 years ago in a financial recession. All great businesses start in tough economic times, they say, and you've done very well. I mean, rapid growth, international expansion, and you've gone through some challenging times. So thinking about Brexit, COVID, supply chain shocks, and a hell of a lot of political change. And you're representing Circularity-First, who's really focusing on profitable outcomes with sustainability and technology.
Thank you, Andy. It's great to be here and to be talking about how to thrive in times of uncertainty. Look, you've been on a pretty powerful journey yourself. 20 years in the tech industry. You've worked across software, distribution, telco, and IT services. You successfully led, I think it's 2 exits, is that right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And now you're into Smart CT, which is a business that focuses on IT services and solutions across all of Europe. An award-winning organisation. It's great to share this platform with you and really to dig into what it's like to run businesses like this.
Yeah, absolutely excited. So it's great to be here with you.
Episode 6, all things AI. Andy, I thought we could explore a little bit about how we're looking at AI in our organizations, some of the limitations, some of the risks, some of the opportunities, and really just bring it to life for the audience.
What's the top 3 things that you kind of, for Circularity-First, that you kind of go, right, when I go in there to see somebody new or seeing somebody you might know for your other business, what's the kind of, I don't know, might just be one thing, but what are there kind of 3 things you think I want them to be left with that impression about my business?
Yeah, because we've overcomplicated our business a little bit. The Circularity-First brand was designed to pull the whole group together. And we had lots of different things going on, but what it means is we're constantly trying to message more than one thing. And actually, you'd be much better off, to your point, 3 or less, right? But what I'm personally trying to land with people, I typically talk about we help with the thinking, we help with the measuring, we help with the doing. And that's around making money and becoming more sustainable for tech companies, right? So the consulting stuff is the thinking, the CFOS tools, the measurement, the reporting stuff, you've had a little bit of a look at firsthand of that. That's really important to people. And actually the traditional business, the bit that makes the most money is still the doing part of the business. But more personally, I spend more of my time trying to get in at the top and talk about the strategy and the consulting. 1, because I'm more excited and passionate about it. 2, it's a really interesting place once you get locked in at the top. That it makes some of the other bits easier. Not always. And we don't have an amazing track record of converting from the top to doing lots of delivery, but it gets you in the room. But it is quite an ask. It's a longer sales cycle to get a CEO ready to trust you to come into their boardroom and talk to their teams.
Especially getting you into the boardroom, because sometimes they can be really quick to make a decision, right? But actually to get you in and go, actually, I'm going to stand side by side with you, and because before they brought you in, they already know what they want to happen. You know, you're elevating that.
And it's a little risk for them to start talking about sustainability.
Yeah.
Right? That whilst you said all the given, like they're normally quickly intrigued. I think they generally think I'm quite believable. But there's that slight, I'm sticking my neck out a bit here. I'm a CEO. I'm only supposed to talk about money. And even though I say, well, we're talking about the business case, they still know it's going to start with sustainability. But all of them afterwards go, that was brilliant. And I didn't think it would, I thought you were really good, but I didn't think you'd have that much value. And I didn't think we'd get that much buy-in. And I didn't think, because again, it's outside their sphere of knowledge. It's like, it'd be a bit like bringing someone in to talk about AI. Like, everyone's saying AI is great, but like, you're going to spend a 2-hour session talking about AI in your boardroom? Maybe.
Yeah, CTO might be happy, but
but like, everyone else is like, we're all using it. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it automatically responds in my emails, sets my calendar. Brilliant.
Summarizes a big long email. Yeah, brilliant.
Makes me sound intelligent when I'm not very good at writing. Like, whatever it is, right? But like, and there's obviously a billion use cases for AI. But look, I mean, our number one challenge at the moment probably is how we simplify our messaging to the right audiences. Because you go to our website, it all sounds great, but what do you actually do? And what are you going to do for me, specifically me in my role in my organization, that's going to help me do my job and help me make money?
Difficult. 5 green fingers, right? How do you get that personal to that, perhaps in our case, 5 buyer personas, right? But how do you get it personal to that person? It's really, even if you create a sub page that says, right, buyer persona 1, how do I make it really important to you? It just almost seems a bit forced then. So you're kind of like, it's really tricky. But as you kind of go through the different mediums that you're doing of promoting yourself in
it's the shotgun
team,
approach,
right? Is but one article might be like really interesting and maybe not on the others. So
and I think it's always that we live in a very noisy space as well. Like, tech is super noisy. There's loads of marketing dollars pumping around, everything, bam, 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 bam. So that's again why I think it's helped us a little bit for me to represent the brand rather than just being a couple of words. Circularity-First, you have to explain it a bit. Website looks great and professional, but in a room, 1-to-1, like what we do, does need a bit of explaining, and actually better than that, it's doing. So as I said, once I'm in the room delivering, we get great value, and people see it, and then we can make it real, and then they start to win more business and increase margins. We've got some great case studies, but everyone's got great case studies because you can write almost what you like in a case study, right? Like, all of that's like, it's so hard to stand out and drive real value. And it's a bit of a shame that we're not in an industry where referrals are such a big thing. Maybe you get we don't get a lot of referrals, even though we have super satisfied customers. They're just not going to stick their neck out. They don't know that many other people or whatever. It's just not that kind of place.
Yeah, it is interesting that, right? You think of consultants, right? In the I don't know, big, could be advisory firms for I don't know, digital transformation. You get a lot of referrals. Yeah. It could be accountancy practices. It could be lawyers. A lot of them live on referrals. And there's probably, where people move to different businesses is probably where we get the biggest referral from. As somebody who we've worked with, shown a great case study with them of, helping them, either make their lives a lot easier or making their customers happy. And then they go somewhere else and they go, you're doing it yourself, or you're doing it this way. Do you know what I've actually experienced in the past? I think we as humans are pretty good at, basing it on your past experiences, and actually that's what's worked well for me. Shame when you're really on a mission to grow, because it can take a bit longer than you absolutely want.
People only change jobs every 4 or 5 years. Yeah, it's quite a long time, isn't it?
I mean, you can talk about growth on a business case pretty easily, right? But seeing it come to reality is, you've got to get all those things kind of going in that direction. So
it's not meant to be easy, is it?
I'll give you a question, more of a general theme is, with all these kind of AI, I guess content summary or meeting minutes, so how do you feel about them kind of being present in a meeting when you and I having a meeting to say, actually, do I mind if I put this kind of on my phone or on my laptop? It's going to record a meeting, it's going to summarize it and put notes together. How do you feel about that?
So I've only had a couple of clients do that with us so far. I think in principle I don't have much of an issue. You've got that question, haven't you? Like, are they really going to capture what I said? Are they going to get it dead right? I think for things like actions, why not?
Pretty
right?
good, yeah.
Especially if you can guide them, right? This is an action, describe the action. This is for so and so, do by then. Like you can normally guide them pretty straight there. I think a lot of AI is it's fine to a certain level, right? It's good at general. It's not good at absolute precise. It's not going to capture the nuance. So that's the danger we have. It's a bit like communicating to people in Twitter. You're minimizing it. You're reducing it. You're not capturing all of it. And I think that's our danger a bit with AI, is that there's a reductionism to it. There's a laziness to it. There's you're sort of taking away creativity. You're taking away critical thought a little bit. Like you can get to good. You ask AI any question, you get to good, like that, bang, and everyone's like, "Well, good's enough," right? But you do get to great. Do you get to insightful? Do you get to highest quality? Do you get passion or rigor or critical thinking or dare I say it, actual fact checking? Because we know that doesn't always exist well in AI. So, I think if the outcome you want, you just want a good outcome, an average outcome, great, use AI all the time. If you want something better than that, I think it gets tricky. And I think general intelligence isn't going to get further than that. It can't, because it's only pulling from what exists out there today. So you're going to struggle to break a lot of new ground.
Yeah, I think my view on it is that wonderful for the meeting piece. You create some simplified notes, because most times I've used it, it's captured the bulk of what we needed, and sometimes actually context as well, which is kind of really, really, really helpful. But I always wonder whether I'm being as natural as I would be, because I'm almost got a mic, right? Am I being natural enough that it's because it was recorded? Do I act slightly differently? Do I take away a little bit of my personality?
Do you?
I think you naturally do. Think about a Teams call. You're on a Teams call and someone says, "Can I record it?" With your face on it. I always kind of sit up straight.
Do you?
I'm kind of like, I don't, a bit more conscious. I mean, might even look at my hair, like, make sure the,
Probably pretty for the AI.
But I think I generally think it. But in some cases that's brilliant, right? Because we all need a bit of a nudge, stand up a bit straighter or things like that. But I think sometimes would you say things? Not that I've got anything to hide of what he's saying, but would I be slightly different? I think slightly different, yeah. Not sure. Sometimes good, sometimes less good. But does it take away the natural effect of the conversation sometimes? Don't know.
Interesting. So I think for me it fades into the background, but probably because I just spend so much time in front of a screen now that you can record whatever you like. It's fine. But you touch on the very edge of that conversation, a very interesting point that people aren't talking about enough, is where does all of that information go? So you talk about sort of acting slightly differently. We should all be a little bit more careful about what we say if we're being recorded by AI, sure. The questions we ask AI, the information we upload to AI, and most people are not. And that's a bigger issue, I think. So if you're being recorded in a meeting, like, what if you talked about some commercial stuff? Yeah. So someone asked you and you forgot the AI was on, and they said, "Well, come on, Andy, it's just you and me. Like, what's your kind of margin position? Yeah, what do you typically put on your support contracts?"
Yeah, and then where does it go after?
Exactly. So people don't think about that enough. Now, I don't think there's enough, particularly, and maybe in bigger businesses, there's AI training being rolled out where people are made aware of this kind of stuff. But there's lots of examples already of people uploading a document, a commercial document, a contract, or some kind of commercial agreement to an AI to ask it to rewrite it or to optimize it that information now exists in that AI. Now you can put gates in that, you can protect against that, but most people are not. And so that information is out in the ether. What's the average cost of this? Oh, great. I know what the average cost of this is now because someone actually uploaded the contract.
Yeah, no, and I'm quite conscious about that, about, because you're dealing with some, areas of sensitivity, whether that's commercially or by type of nature of customer. You got to be super careful because actually, I don't actually know. Where does it go after that? I know it sits into some form of, database for it to learn. The algorithms pick it up, but who then looks at that? Who then uses that? It's quite interesting, isn't it?
Unless you tell it not to, it becomes publicly available information.
Well, unless you tell it not to, how do you ensure that it doesn't do it?
Well, there's that too. I mean, you'd think that the paid for platforms have probably got a vested interest in protecting those things. Someone like Copilot and Microsoft. I'm sure they've put those gates in there, but most people are not even using those. They're using ChatGPT or DeepSeek or any of them. I'm not saying any of them better or worse than the others, but that goes into the knowledge base.
Yeah.
And I think that's scary for the individual uploading it. It's probably potentially an upside for society if more information is open and available. But you certainly can put yourself in a difficult position from a competitive point of view.
Well, yeah, I mean, more information open and available. I mean, I remember when I was younger, probably didn't do that much, but going to the library, should have gone more. But to find out and learn something, right? And now it's just a case of, well, my kids just ask Alexa, what's the fastest running dog or something like that,
Well, Alexa isn't really an AI, right? But do you have an AI app on your phone that you use? Do you use AI now more than search?
I do, but not from a conscious point of view. More that where I use the
search.
Main kind of platforms that just comes up and says it. Okay. But then I do read that first because it pops up first. So
I have now tipped over. I definitely go to AI first to research something that I normally would have been a Google search.
Yeah.
So I've definitely tipped over in that. I'm a big fan of Perplexity. It may be, I don't know if that's they're ethically good or not, but Perplexity, kind of the way it responds to the questions I ask, it is very good at understanding the question, which is, I think, a really good start, and the detailed answers are really good. So I'm quite aware though how. I'm not quite far. I don't think I'd go as far as dependency, but it's definitely my go-to.
But I mean, that's similar to like search engines, right?
Yeah.
We all have our preferred engine that we go to because when you type it in or read it into it, talk into it, read it into it.
It
tends to.
You can ask your question.
Yeah, you can ask the question, right? But you tend to find it syncs more to you, or you've probably trained yourself to think how is best to ask that search engine, right?
Yeah, but I think that's again where the AIs are really good because they are more designed for natural language. A search engine still isn't really natural language; it's using keywords.
Yeah.
Whereas the AIs tend to be better at inferring what you mean by your question, not just what you put in your question. And if you spell it wrong, it never goes, "Oh, did you mean this?" Which you get on a search engine. It just goes,
yeah.
They meant there as over there as opposed to there as in someone owned it, right? I mean, I think. In a small business, we've got this kind of tension. So we talk about sustainability in AI quite a lot, and how you measure that, and how it drives a lot of energy use. There's all sorts of stats. Is it 10 times or 40 times the amount of energy as a normal search, for example? But how do you weigh that against how many websites would you need to look at? So if you had to look at 10 websites to get the answer you wanted versus the AI giving the answer just after one search, and it's 10 times as much. Well, that's more productivity because it saved you time. Is that better? There aren't very many good tools that allow you to measure the impact of actually running AI, but everyone's absolutely leaping on the bandwagon from a productivity point of view. So our team's been challenged to explore it, use it wisely, not wastefully, be thoughtful about your consumption of it. See it as you've got to recognize that all things you do create carbon and create waste. But I think as a small business, you've got to be embracing it, and I know a lot of the big companies are seeing it as ways of hiring less people. We've been really clear with our team that we want you to be more productive. there is zero focus on, can this reduce headcount? This is about us all doing better, more efficient at our jobs, being more effective,
getting faster for your customers.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
And I think that's the beauty I see is that the content summary. If you've got the data in the right places, you access data quicker, so you can make faster responses. And I think if you make it a bit more easier for people, they tend to look at things. One of my colleagues was saying to me, because every time I see maybe a request come in, I think if it's less than 5 minutes, I'll just do it now. And if you get more of them, I know that's not how absolutely everybody think, but if you see it, it's going to be quicker. There's less barriers in your head. So can AI help with that? Great.
People use the word agentic AI, but have you thought about how AI could help you respond to customers, their requests, and that first line response, or speeding that up, or making that more effective in your, because you're a service organization? Have you thought about that at all yet?
We have. We've not yet deployed it, and the reason for that is what we're deploying is workflows. So from our business, what we're doing is we're extending the services we offer across more product portfolios. And my belief was that if we put in more kind of, I guess, adding more tech into it, whether it's the agentic AI in those certain areas, would we not broaden the business fast enough? And I think we're now in a place where we've broadened the portfolio in 2 extra areas of workplace and server from our kind of heritage of networking, to a level where we've got some great case studies with customers to show that we can do these services in workplace and server at scale, and for some really big enterprise businesses. So once we get that, we're probably at a more stable capacity the way we can use parts of AI or advanced workflows as well. That's where we start. We'll start to look at it with more, I guess, a bit more gusto in the future.
Okay. So I think sort of playing back what we've covered there. So sort of small to medium-sized businesses obviously playing with AI, thinking about how they use it. Everyone's on their own kind of journey there. I think there's some definite security concerns and worries that you need to educate teams about. Feels like most of us are still in that explore phase, but it's kind of getting to that tipping point where people are thinking about, actually, how do I deploy this perhaps more meaningfully? How do I use it to change the dynamics of my business completely, rather than just making emails easier or automating some small parts of the process? Right.
I'd tell you the one thing that's kind of left with me on it is that we're an SME, but we're serving some big businesses. I am investing in some big technology software houses to operate our own business, and they're going to get there faster than I will of creating anything myself. So we're going to work with the latest and greatest versions of some of the best software in the world, and that's going to help us accelerate it. That's my general belief. If I were to invest in it, I need to make sure it's modified for our business. But these big tech providers have got billions of bucks. They're throwing money at it, and we'll be early adopters to use that.
So let them reinvent the wheel rather than you try and do it.
I mean, that is the theory. I mean, we're not. We want to focus on the customer, and it's some of the practices that much larger businesses have invested in to develop. We'll take advantage of them, and then we'll kind of aim to be as agile as possible for our customers.
Great stuff.
Yeah, cool.